JANA Duggar's baby boy birth exposed. Stephen Wisman steps up as Jim Bob stays distant. This is not just a headline. It is a reflection of a quiet but historic shift inside one of America's most closely watched families. In January 2026, while public attention remained scattered across rumors and speculation, a carefully guarded reality was unfolding behind closed hospital doors. JANA Duggar, long known as the responsible cornerstone of the Duggar household, gave birth to a baby boy under circumstances that marked a decisive break from the family's past patterns. The birth was private, medically complex, financially significant, and emotionally charged, revealing more about family power dynamics than any public statement ever could. For years, JANA's life followed a predictable narrative shaped by tradition, authority, and obligation. She was expected to support siblings, uphold family values, and remain available whenever the household required her presence. Marriage came later than expected, motherhood even later, and when it finally arrived, it did so on her terms. From the earliest stages of pregnancy, decisions were made quietly and deliberately, guided not by public image, but by health concerns and personal boundaries. Medical consultations during the first trimester indicated the need for specialized monitoring, and from that moment, privacy became a non-negotiable priority. As the pregnancy progressed, the financial implications became increasingly apparent. JANA and her husband, Stephen Wisman, chose a private medical facility known for high-level maternal and neonatal care. The costs associated with this choice were substantial. Specialized prenatal testing, extended monitoring, and exclusive care protocols placed the pregnancy in a financial category far removed from average childbirth experiences. Insurance covered only a fraction. The remainder was paid directly, signaling a willingness to absorb significant expense in exchange for safety and control. By the time labor began in early January, preparations were meticulous. Hospital staff were briefed in advance, access lists were strictly enforced, and security measures were discreetly implemented. This was not a spectacle. There were no cameras, no extended family gathering in waiting rooms, no orchestrated announcements. Stephen Wisman remained present throughout, serving not only as a supportive partner, but as a protective gatekeeper. His role was clear: ensure JANA's well-being, manage communication, and shield the moment from external pressure. What stood out most during this period was the notable absence of Jim Bob Duggar. While not publicly addressed, his distance was unmistakable. There was no visible involvement at the hospital, no confirmed visit during the critical hours, and no participation in early decision-making. Sources close to the situation indicate that this distance was not accidental. It was the result of boundaries set well before the delivery date, boundaries that reflected years of accumulated tension and a desire to redefine authority within the family. The delivery itself extended longer than anticipated, requiring additional medical intervention and prolonged observation for the newborn. Neonatal specialists were involved immediately, not due to crisis, but as a precaution informed by prenatal indicators. The baby boy was healthy, but the extended care significantly increased costs. Within days, medical expenses had reached figures typically associated with major surgical procedures rather than standard childbirth. When combined with private accommodations, specialist fees, and postnatal care arrangements, the total hospital expenditure moved well into the seven-figure range. Following discharge, the financial impact continued. JANA and Stephen hosted a series of private gatherings to mark the child's arrival, each carefully curated and intentionally limited. These were not public celebrations, but controlled environments designed to honor the moment without inviting scrutiny. Catering, security, venue arrangements, and personalized elements added to the already substantial financial outlay. Additionally, long-term planning measures were initiated, including educational provisions and trust structures for the child. ensuring independence from existing family financial frameworks. The naming ceremony, traditionally a communal event, was conducted privately. Only a small circle was present. The choice reflected not secrecy but intention, a clear message that this child's identity would not be shaped by public expectation or family branding. Stephen Wisman's involvement throughout reinforced this stance. He was not deferential to legacy authority. He was assertive in protecting his household's autonomy. Jim Bob Duggar's response, or lack thereof, became a focal point of quiet discussion. While no public conflict emerged, the distance spoke volumes. This birth represented a moment he did not oversee, control, or frame. The absence of traditional gestures, including delayed acknowledgement and limited interaction, underscored a shift that many had long suspected but few had witnessed so clearly. Authority within the family was no longer centralized. Emotionally, the impact on JANA was profound. Motherhood arrived not as a continuation of past roles, but as a transformation. Those close to her observed a marked change in demeanor, calmer, firmer, and notably self-directed. The exhaustion following delivery was real, but so was the resolve. The experience reaffirmed choices made months earlier: privacy over exposure, partnership over hierarchy, and protection over compliance. Financially, the scale of expenditure sparked private debate within extended family circles. Millions were spent between medical care, security, celebrations, and future planning. Yet for JANA and Stephen, the cost was justified. It was an investment not only in health but in independence. Every dollar spent reinforced a boundary that could not be negotiated later. As news of the birth slowly emerged, it did so without the fanfare that once defined Duggar announcements. There were no glossy photos, no coordinated media releases, no immediate public narrative. Instead, there was silence, intentional and controlled. When acknowledgement finally came, it was understated, almost defiant in its simplicity. The message was clear. This moment belonged to the parents, not the public, not the family hierarchy. Stephen Wisman's role throughout this period cannot be overstated. He was present, decisive, and unwavering. In moments where tradition might have dictated deference, he chose protection. In situations where silence might have been interpreted as weakness, he maintained boundaries. His actions redefined expectations, demonstrating that partnership within the family need not mirror the structures of the past. JANA Duggar's baby boy entered the world not as part of a spectacle, but as the center of a carefully guarded circle. His birth exposed more than a private moment. It revealed a recalibration of power, priorities, and identity. The distance of Jim Bob Duggar was not merely physical. It symbolized a broader transition. Control that once seemed absolute now encountered limits it could not cross. In the end, this story is not about absence alone. It is about presence, about who stood in the room, who made decisions, who absorbed costs, and who shaped the future. JANA Duggar's journey into motherhood unfolded as a quiet declaration of independence, one reinforced by every deliberate choice made along the way. The baby boy's arrival marked not only a new life but the closing of an old chapter, one defined by compliance and expectation. What remains is a future authored by those who chose to step forward when it mattered most, regardless of who chose to stay distant. Thanks for watching.